Hello! Okay, so today we are looking at the book of Acts, and I want to give you a little summary of the book of Acts so that it's easy for you to pick up and read. All right, the key verse of the book of Acts is 1:8, and it says, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witness in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." And so basically, this book is how the early church grows, first in Jerusalem and then spreads into Judea and Samaria and then finally to the ends of the earth. So if I give you a quick summary of the book, it begins in the first couple of chapters. The Holy Spirit comes in Pentecost. And this is a huge deal because thousands of years ago, on the first Pentecost, Moses goes up Mount Sinai and he receives the law. And the people of Israel actually turned away from God while he's there, and they worship a calf, and 3,000 of them die in a plague. In the coming of the Holy Spirit, there are 3,000 believers added to the faith. And so you can see how God is so good at redeeming his people. Another really key point of why the Holy Spirit comes during Pentecost is this is a major celebration in the Jewish faith. And so there are Jewish people from all different regions that come into Jerusalem to worship God. And so when the Holy Spirit comes and the disciples start speaking in many different languages, then these people that have come into Jerusalem hear the gospel in their mother tongue and then go back out into their regions and start spreading the gospel. So it's a key moment for the gospel to spread. So cool how God does that. Then it takes actually 8 years before the disciples move out of Jerusalem to go spread the gospel in Judea and Samaria. And it actually takes a persecution of the church in chapter 8. Let's just turn there. In chapter 8, Saul begins to really persecute the church, and so actually the main leaders need to leave Jerusalem because they can't stay for fear of their lives. And that's actually when they go and they start spreading the gospel in Judea and Samaria. Now, if you remember the key verse at the beginning, "Be my witness in Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." This was always God's plan, but it takes a little bit more for the disciples to go. So they start facing persecution and they go. And actually, it's after this going that Paul is converted into Saul. And actually it's the same name, but he gets a revelation from Jesus, and Jesus says, "Paul, why are you persecuting me?" And Paul is devastated because he actually really loves God and wants to love God well, but he's been misdirected. And in God's goodness, Jesus appears to Paul and redirects him. And there's so much I could continue to say in that, but that's just a brief summary of Saul, the goodness of God on Saul's life. And so then Saul is converted, and he completely turns his life around for Jesus. Instead of persecuting the church, he joins the church, and he actually gets persecuted all throughout the book. And he's the one that goes in chapter 13, after prayer and fasting, him and Barnabas go to the ends of the earth, sharing the gospel. And the ends of the earth in that time means most of Asia, the Roman century, the Roman Empire. And and you just see how his love for Jesus radically changes his life, and he shares the love of Jesus through chapter 13 all the way until chapter 27. He goes on 3 main missionary journeys sharing God's love. And when he comes back from the last one in chapter 27, he gets arrested in Jerusalem. In chapter 21, he gets arrested in Jerusalem, and then he prepares for trial and travels to Rome from chapter 27 to 28, where he does his final defense in Rome and shares the gospel in the ends of the earth. So there's a very brief summary of the book of Acts. I hope it makes it easier for you to read. And yeah.